Hey everybody, welcome to your How Good is the World Today update for September 22nd, 2015. We got some things going on today. The world is spinning on its axis and moving forward and stuff's happening and no major news today, but let's get into this, okay? So, biggest story by far, and you already know this because it is the biggest story by far. The Pope is in America. That's right, the Pope, leader of a religion that no one who's watching this cares about, has landed in a place where you probably aren't. And apparently that's massive news, but I guess it is. The real reason not the real reason, it's a big deal, but one of the reasons getting talked about so much is he's a vocal, let's do something about global warming guy. I feel like there should be a shorthand phrase for that, but I don't know what it is. So he's very in support of saving the world through not having global warming, as is Barack Obama and a lot of other people. And apparently all of them are launching this $200 million advertising campaign today to support the let's not all die to global warming agenda. So that's they're using his status among the religious people who are kind of the ones who are against not letting the world end thanks to global warming. It's a policy point, it wins something for someone, so that's probably part of why it's such a big deal. All the way on the other side of the country, in the other Washington, the state, Chinese President Xi Jinping has touched down, and he's meeting with all kinds of local business leaders from companies like Microsoft, Starbucks, a lot of Silicon Valley companies, a lot of big tech companies. And if you've been paying attention to China recently, there's a lot of very angry tech companies when it comes to China, not just because the economy is having problems and everyone who's kind of rolling in the money from all of China's, spending is now scared because there's not as much Chinese spending. But the other one is the Chinese government and, sort of rogue Chinese citizens have been hacking the shit out of American companies and stealing all of their prized intellectual property. And people are kind of pissed about that. Xi Jinping is coming to DC to meet with Obama, and Obama's main thing he wants to talk about is, stop hacking our shit. So probably some tense meetings going on over there in Seattle. Obviously I don't know what is being said, but most likely that's what they're talking about. On the cybercrime front, while we're here, ISIS, of all people, backwards ass, fuck the future ISIS, has threatened a cyber attack on the UK for tomorrow. So pay attention to that one. Will it happen? Will it not? ISIS has threatened to attack a cyber attack against the UK. Didn't really say why. They have this very dramatic video where they march the prisoners out and they put knives up against their throats. They don't really say why they're so pissed, though. Most likely it's because the UK has been ramping up its bombing of ISIS recently. In fact, just the other day we were talking about how the UK killed 2 of its own citizens who they believed were supporting ISIS over in the Middle East somewhere. So that's probably what's going on between those two. It kind of makes sense. You bomb me, I cyber attack you. So they've made that threat. And then over on our front of the war against ISIS, the anti-ISIS czar, according to all the people who love to throw the word czar after things, retired General John Allen, who's been basically the Obama's guy in the war on ISIS, announced he's stepping down today. He says it's because his wife is sick, which she is. Also, he was appointed a year ago, only supposed to serve 6 months, and then 6 months ago he said he'd do another 6 months. So this is kind of expected, not exactly a huge fuck you to the administration. However, he is being described as fairly frustrated with the administration. Obviously, he's a good soldier. He's not coming out and saying, this is what's wrong, that's what's wrong. But he had pushed for on-the-ground forces to help bombers spot targets in Syria, and Obama wouldn't do that. He wanted more money. Obama couldn't come up with any more money. And there's a lot of people saying that kind of behind the scenes he's a little frustrated. So that could certainly be part of what's going on there. No word on who's going to replace him. No word on I think October, November he'll actually be stepping down. Finally, over in Europe on the Middle Eastern front, they've officially, the EU, or the European Commission, has agreed to this plan that they've come up with to house 120,000 immigrants around in various different countries. Of course, the rich countries are all like, yes, come, please, send us the immigrants, we will take care of them, we are such wonderful people. And then the poor countries are like, you guys, we got our own problems we're dealing with here, we can't be taking in refugees all the time. So, usually the EU likes to have consensus on sovereignty issues like this, like letting people into the country. But they sort of rammed this one through with 4 dissenting votes and Finland abstaining. The 4 dissenting votes, the three main ones were the Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia. Hungary, in fact, today, on top of voting against this resolution, they actually Parliament authorized their military to use non-lethal force. We're talking about like tear gas, rubber bullets, that kind of shit, to deal with like the refugees on the border and who are getting into the country. So scary shit, honestly, happening there. I mean, it's all racism and xenophobia and nativism. They're always scary ideas, but it's really ramping up to this like emotional tenor that is frightening. I mean, over in Greece on Sunday, the Golden Dawn got something like 8% of the Greek parliament. They are Greece's neo-Nazi party. They are very anti-immigrant, very anti-refugee. Hungary's authorizing its military to use the non-lethal force. Bulgaria last week sent its troops down to the Turkish border to keep people out. Donald Trump is saying he's going to deport everybody. Ben Carson thinks a Muslim shouldn't be president. There is this, rising tide of anti-Muslim sentiment that is no longer just sort of old people bickering and has become a very angry movement. And that is tremendously troubling to me, as someone who, is in favor of, like, peace and acceptance and tolerance and all those, fucking stupid things. So anyways, scary news, but not tremendously scary. However, I do feel like we inched closer to World War III today, so I'm going to drop the index down a point and lock us in at 71. Check back tomorrow, see how that goes. See if we change it again. All right, bye-bye.